Our last speaker for this part of our conference, of our webinar, is a great speaker who I always love meeting in conferences around the world. And Francis West, the founder of Francis West & Co., will be talking about investing in talent with disabilities, why and how. And if I can just ask for whoever is now unmuted, great, you're now muted, so we can really focus on you, Francis. So looking forward to hearing what you say.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I'm very happy to be on this great event. And what I'm going to do is spend the next, I'm going to try to do it really net because I know you're running a little late, is to give the audience a perspective from the business side. Like Mikhail mentioned, that I've been in this, I guess you can call it accessibility and technology business for a while, and a lot of the experience and insight is based on I was IBM's chief accessibility officer, and when I retired from IBM 2016, and I made it kind of a mission to really, for two purposes. One is to raise the whole topic of hiring people with disability and using technology such as accessibility as a business imperatives. And the second thing is that for all of us who's on this call are advocates for hiring and employing people with disability, but how do we do that and why we need to do that? And so my organization or my company is really a global strategy advisory company working with the people from different organizations at the top to really make them think differently, and so that their investment that will come with it is sustained and is scalable. It's not what we call just a social or and philanthropic kind of investment. I think there's no question, just based on Mikhail, your opening comment about, the pandemic and also the social environment that we're facing is very different, plus the war, right? The geopolitics. We are living in a very different world. It's a changing world. So we really need to have different kind of thinking, but most importantly, we need to have different skill sets. And that the pandemic, what it brought to us is the understanding that the technology play a critical role in our enabling people's employment. So from that standpoint, what I usually, when I discuss with senior executives, is that I try to really relate what the mainstream, for example, surveyed or data to support the argument, right? And here you see that this is a survey done by Gartner. If you are, especially in the business community, all the CEOs look to, we heard about World Economic Forum. We know our Caroline Casey has done a great job in advocating the message. But if you are a business executive of any senior level, you go to Gartner for advice. And in their report, they talked about looking beyond 2023 in terms of the talent skills. There are four things that CEO is worried about: people, purpose, prices, and productivities. And then we as a advocate for people with disability or person with disability know that we are the people, right? And that we actually can help organizations to provide purpose. We can even help with the pricing because we know people with disabilities, their customer loyalty is the highest. So the retention rate is the highest. When you can have that kind of a high retention rate, then you reduce the cost of turnover. Therefore, we can help a company with the price. Last but not the least, productivity. We know that people with disabilities, given the right environment, can be super productive, more productive because they're motivated. Again, on the next chart, I want to just do a comparison of the new skills of the work of the future or the society future is going to need in 2022. This is, again, a data that came out of the World Economic Forum of the future of jobs. So if you look at, when you compare to even 2015, the different skill sets are very, very, kind of interesting, that we're looking for people. Number one on the list is innovation, active learning, creativity. And again, I will put out that people with disability they major in innovation. They major in creativity, because every day is a challenge. Every environment is a challenge. They have to be super creative. So if we look at the future trend of the skills, then actually put the people with disability on top of the list, not at the bottom of the list. But with all that said, and also we have heard many speakers talked about whether it's government agencies and private enterprise, they all have done a lot in recruiting people with disabilities. And when I took the job at IBM as the head of the IBM Accessibility Organization, the first person I called actually is not HR. The first person I decided to call is the CIO office, because intuitively, and also later I proved out that the CIO, the Chief Information Officer, or the Chief Technology Officer in an organization, they actually made the decision for workplace technology. I think you've all mentioned earlier, accessibility internal. That is absolutely crucial. So here's a case of what we did in IBM, which is we actually spent multi-million-dollar and did a multi-year project to create a worldwide, what we call the workplace accommodation portal. Why did we do that? Because what we realized is one thing to hire, is another thing is to really invest in the infrastructure so they can have productivity parity, so they can compete for career advancement, so they can be promoted. So I think it's very important that organization not just think about, spending, focus on hiring, but really, in our word, like eat your own dog food, meaning you got to prepare yourself internally to make sure you're in a workplace environment. And I'm just going to highlight, because of time limitation, we designed the entire accommodation portal so that at that time we have about 450,000 employees around the world. So whether you're in Bangalore, India, or you're in Beijing, or you're China, or in Boston, Massachusetts, you can self-serve to look for accommodation. And the workflow actually was designed by our employee with hearing, hard of hearing, or who are blind. And so it is, the whole spirit of a nothing about us without us, built into the governance, built into the infrastructure of the technology, so that the workplace on a day-to-day basis is sustainable, and is scalable. That's the only way you can really sustain an inclusive workplace, especially with people with disability who can provide you with the innovation. And one thing I'm very proud of, many of you don't hear about IBM in this whole area, digital accessibility area, as much. Partially is because the company has a complete business strategy change. Now it's really in the infrastructure business, in the technology base. So we have very few customer-facing portfolio anymore. That said, a lot of our people who are with a disability are actually in the industry. They are working at Google, they're working at Facebook, they're working in Microsoft. So I think this goes to show that for what I call the authentic company, who really not just believe that hiring people with disability is important, but really invest in their talent, can be what I call the differentiated market maker. And today, going back to as a highly competitive world, every company is looking for product differentiation. Again, people with disability can add to their perspective of what I call the human first thinking. They can help to expand market into, for example, aging. And then also any company who's authentically hiring and with the right, infrastructure like the workplace technology, they will get the acquisition. Last but not the least, we have to elevate the whole topic from just hiring to a disruptive innovation talk, a transformation talk, and also, most importantly, I think the C-suite has to understand that investing is an essential imperative. It's not a nice to have. So I'm going to end just by sharing some of my contact information. like I said, I feel so strongly about the topic that has to be top down that I wrote a book in 2019, and it actually was launched in South by Southwest 2019. And this year, 2023, South by Southwest will do a relaunch of my book, which I'm very proud of. So feel free to contact me via LinkedIn and whatever format that you found suitable. Thank you very much, Mikhail.
Frances, as always, thank you so much. And I can't wait for the next opportunity to meet in person and definitely talk more about this. And I know that, again, we're receiving messages by chat. I'm sure your presentation will be very appreciated if we can spread it out and with the contact information, of course. And thank you very much again. And I have no doubt, we are consulting many companies here in Israel, and there's the checklist of what to do, but then there's the to do it right. To really understand that it's like planting a seed. You have to prepare the ground before and continue maintenance throughout the employment. So totally, and everybody wins. It's a win-win situation all the way.